Hello, we're playing Black Ice today. This game touches on a sense of nostalgia, which I can only really attribute all the way back to a series called Johnny Quest, I believe, and sort of pretty much perfectly grasps this idea of hacking that was in the 90s, basically. It does it pretty greatly, and I'm going to show you how great this is, because it's pretty great. Currently, it's still in early access, so it's still under development. It's also available on itch.io, but on Steam, I think you technically have the latest version, because you have access to, like, the in-dev version, so you can play, for instance, like this video is on 0.6.003 instead of just 0.6. And it's only like minor differences, but every now and then you'll have the latest update, and sometimes the latest update might break everything, but sometimes it might not. Let's just get started on the game. We're just gonna choose a character. If you click on quick start, you just create a new character and you're good to go. But we're gonna play as a character that I've been playing as for a while, because I can, really. So here we are in cyberspace or whatever, and there's all these squares and colored squares and whatnot. We have a whole bunch of abilities. We're able to jump really high. We're able to jump really low. We have a charge jump. We can shoot at things using really pretty rainbows. There's like a whole bunch of different weapons available, which I'll get into in a second. And there's all these different, all these cubes basically of varying colors. And every single one of them has a certain name. They have a little bit of information about what the company's like the Ultra Mechanics Corporation, specialized in nationalizing private citizens. But they are also rumored to research horrifying new medical procedures on their own citizens. So, like, all of these companies have, like they're, like, on the outside they just seem really good, but on the inside, actually, they're, like, eating kittens and whatnot, and they should be hacked into. And then every now and then you'll have dark servers as well, but I'll get into that in a second. But the moment you press the hack button on one of these particular companies, I'm trying to find one which is sort of my level, because I'm currently level 49, and you start off at level 0. But once you hack one, you get this circle, and the music changes, and then you have to hack the firewall or whatever, and these are like things that try to protect you from, or trying to stop you from hacking into the thing. You can see these guys trying to take away my health. And if we just press the buttons really quickly, we can shoot all manner of projectiles. We have a healing ability currently equipped, but there is a whole bunch of different different abilities. There's a whole bunch of different enemies. And I really love the graphic style in this game. I really do, because it's like this really sort of cheesy idea that the 90s had what hacking looked like. But it just captures it perfectly. Like, there's all these monsters which are trying to stop you from getting into the machines, and once you've, like, killed all the enemies, then it'll drop an item inside the thing, which is basically a skill. The way this game does skills is actually quite interesting, because you get experience for killing enemies, and once you reach enough experience, you'll level up, and you can put, like, points, like skill points into these things. And you'll have, like, higher % chance to find loot or more health or RAM. RAM is basically what you use to fire your gun. It's basically your ammo, but with the build I have right now, it regenerates so quickly that I can pretty much just shoot non-stop. But RAM is also basically used for, like, all of your other stuff, like for jumping, for your charged jump. You can see it's slowly going down in the bottom left right now, and if I just charge for a really long time, eventually I can let go, and I'll just fly really high. And the same goes for this jetpack, which I have as well, which is pretty neat. And that's pretty much sort of the game right now. I think they are working on adding, like, sort of questy stuff and more, like, in-depth stuff, really. But right now, what we have, like, what's available is pretty cool. And sort of the main goal right now is to eventually hack into a company called Finality or something like that, which is this huge, gigantic white building over there. But I'll get into that in a second. First of all, we're gonna go to the inventory, because the inventory has a bunch of stuff in it, and I sorted it very specifically to sort of show off the different things, because this entire top row of stuff right here is all, like, different weapons that have different projectiles, and you can put them in any of these slots. Like, you can replace your jumping ability with another gun. And for instance, we could just do this, and we won't be able to hack anymore because we need this little cube to hack things, but we will be able to see all the different projectiles, at least when I switch out all of my weapons. And you'll have stuff like just a sort of generic red laser. You'll have this bouncy ball, which looks really cool, and it bounces off of buildings and stuff, and it like sort of pierces through enemies as well, I believe, and it just looks really nice. And you have this rainbow gun, which you saw me use. It shoots like stars. And I'll actually get into this particular gun in a second, because it's actually quite interesting. You have these things, which should bounce all over the place. And you have this EMP thing, which has a recharge time of a while, but it's pretty neat. You have this laser. You have I guess it's sort of a rocket launcher, I suppose, as you can see. And you can place down mines as well. Mines are actually kind of hilarious because you can just place like a whole bunch of them down on top of each other. And if you go into your inventory right now, they like instantly explode and they make you just fly up in the sky. But they actually work quite well against enemies as well. But you can also like get flown away. Sometimes enemies actually have mines as well. And it can be kind of scary because they do actually deal a fair amount of damage. But another thing you can also do is, instead of just using weapons, you can also like actually just have summoned creatures with you as well. So there's like a whole bunch of different like varying abilities, and these guys look like all crystally and stuff, which makes them stand out a little bit more in terms of other enemies, because all the enemies basically are usually the color of whatever building you're hacking, and your own like sort of party all looks like this, and you know, it makes it a little bit easier. And the enemies actually go after these guys as well, so it can actually be quite good to just have a couple minions like following you around. But one thing which I thought was like, what I personally thought was really interesting is the so-called colorizing weapons, which is these things, the ones that basically shoot rainbows, and I just have a bunch of them right now. And what it does is it changes the color of the enemy you're fighting. And I'm actually just gonna quickly get rid of all my summons right now and just hack this random building over here once I have my hacking ability equipped. I'll also equip this thing because it's actually kind of neat, because it shoots like a laser in between you and the building. But what it does, when you colorize an enemy, it changes color, and I should have done this with stronger enemies really, because these guys die in one hit because I'm too high of a level for this particular area. Whoops. I'll see if I can maybe find like a bit of a stronger building. Like when you spawn, you start off near like all these level 1 buildings, and I'm currently level 50, and I'm just one-shotting everything over here right now because I'm just too strong. But somewhere over here, like there's a level 23 building somewhere over there. It's a bit far away, but we'll get there in the end. I never really read the text anymore at this point, by the way. Like, it is kind of neat that there is text on every single one of these buildings. It's usually like a very specific format where it's like, they do this and this and this, but they also do this and this and this. And like the first part's good, and then the second part's basically horrifying a lot of the time. And a lot of the like company names as well are like references to other games. I think there's like a reference to RoboCop as well, which is pretty cool. And there's a whole bunch of cool little things. But I actually forgot to equip my hacking thing, apparently. Alright, so I'm gonna just hack it. And when you colorize an enemy, it changes color. And what that does, it has a chance to colorize. Like, that guy's now orange, but because he died, it doesn't really affect him too much. But as you can see, they're actually attacking each other now. Like, there's just these two enemies which are attacking each other. And I think that's kind of interesting, because I've honestly never really seen an RPG sort of like game which has sort of a convert ability which actually works. Because in most games, when there's any sort of ability where you can convert an enemy to fight effectively by your side, it's garbage just almost every single time. But in this game, it actually works quite well, because you can change the color of basically every single enemy, and then they just all start fighting each other. They'll still also fight you, which is important to mention. They'll not just suddenly be like all on your side. They still just attack you as well. But they also attack the other enemies, which are not the same color. And that's actually quite a neat system. And it sort of ties in with another thing you can do as well. I'm just going to quickly equip some stuff which is like actually good again instead of all this random crap. I'll have a healing ability as well, because healing is rather important. Otherwise you kind of die a lot, and it's kind of sad. But one thing you can do is, for instance, there's like 3 buildings over here, and you can just start hacking all of them. And that's a little bit scarier, because now there's just going to be 3 times as many enemies basically. But they will all just start fighting each other because they're all different colors basically. So that's also kind of cool, and it means you can like sort of get this gang war going basically in this particular area, and you can just sort of let these guys fight it out by themselves, and it makes life a lot less scary. So yeah, that's just my personal preference right there. Having some trouble using... Oh, that's why I'm using the wrong ability. I was trying to use my sort of charge jump to basically just jump on top of one of these buildings and just let them fight it out. You can also just like stand on these buildings. As long as you're in the circle, you're technically still hacking like the buildings and stuff. So you can just sort of stand over here. But there are enemies with ranged attacks. There are enemies which you can climb up buildings as well. And as you can see, my health is actually going down quite quickly because of these ranged attackers right here. So it is definitely not a foolproof way of killing enemies. But, you know, it generally does make you a little bit safer against like strong melee attackers and stuff like that, which cannot climb up. So it's a little bit safer, but you still have to look out like all around you all the time in case someone climbs up behind you or something. Sometimes there'll be mines which just knock you off of the building as well. So it's definitely not the most foolproof way of surviving, but, you know, it generally is pretty good against enemies like this, which are also all fighting each other right now because they're all like different colors and things. And there's also a couple which are invisible as well, which is something you'll mostly see in dark servers, because there's also a dark server which you saw earlier, which was just an entirely just pitch black building. And the dark servers, they seem to sort of scale with your level. I'm honestly not entirely sure how the level scaling works with those things, because all of these buildings are like specific levels, and that's usually sort of an indicator to like what level you need to be before you start fighting them. Also, I just got a scope, which I guess I haven't shown off yet, but you can like sort of zoom in if we equip it over here. Look, and this sort of combines with your sniper rifle ability. I personally don't really like it all that much, because I personally just prefer being able to jump real high and things, or being able to sprint and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of neat. Let's just try and hacking a dark server just for the sake of showing it off. One thing it does is that it doesn't show like the circle where you have to stand, but once you get out of it, it'll like do the thing where it's like, you're out of the circle, in 5 seconds you're gonna stop hacking. And with like the higher level the building is, the longer it takes to hack. Like right now there's a hack progress bar in like the bottom above my skill bar. And once that reaches 100%, that's the point where you basically have to kill all the enemies. I guess that's sort of the point where all the enemies have spawned. But there's also like level 100 buildings and 150 buildings that most of them are shops really. But there's also a couple which are just really high level. There's like level 50 buildings as well. But these particular buildings, they take like 3 minutes to hack. And so you have like 3 minutes worth of enemies. But you can also equip things which make the hacking process a lot quicker. Speaking of shops, here's a shop. And you can click it and you can like sell all your things. And you can buy different weapons. And sometimes they'll be good. Sometimes they'll be bad. Sometimes they'll be passive abilities. And there's just a whole bunch of cool stuff around that. But again, you can hack these as well. But seeing as I'm currently level, I don't know, like 50 something, I don't know where it's currently, like 54, and these are like level 100 enemies, what happens when I get hit is basically, I just basically lose all of my health pretty much instantly. I'm actually doing a pretty decent job at not being instantly dead. So I guess this is just the highest level I've been, but these ranged attackers just destroy you pretty much. Colorizing does make it a little bit more viable, because these guys will just start attacking each other, and you can just sort of hide in the corner while these guys like fight it out that way. But it's still, like, not quite my level. And apparently Cyber War never changes. And then we just die, which is somewhat unfortunate. There's also, like, a couple of other buildings. There's one building which is sort of a jumping puzzle. But the jumping puzzle in this game, it currently doesn't really work that well. It sort of works when you first start off playing, because you get, like, a really piddly jump, and that's pretty much your jumping ability. But, for instance, right now I'm charging my, like, jump. Like, my charge jump thing. And occasionally it doesn't work, which I'm not really sure. That's probably a known bug. But occasionally, like when you charge it up for a while and then you jump, you just go so incredibly high that you'll just do every jumping puzzle instantly by just reaching the top of the building. It would be kind of cool if you need to reach like a specific part of the building maybe and go inside. I don't know. But I'm guessing maybe it'll stay that way, maybe it won't. It's kind of hard to tell where the game's going right now in terms of like content and things, because it's just still heavily under development, and they keep just like updating the game as well. Like pretty much in like the in-dev version, there's pretty much a new update every week, which is pretty impressive. But like one of these buildings, for instance, this is sort of the more like jumping puzzly buildings. But with this like charge jump, you just jump so high that we instantly reach the top. So it doesn't really work after a certain point, but when you like don't have abilities like this, then it does sort of work. But yeah, eventually you have to try and hack finality, I'm not really sure how to pronounce it really. And well, for one, it's a level 150 building. And for two, when you get too close to it, or to a specific part of it, it starts to play this sort of... I can only really describe it as sort of the Jaws theme of this game. Because there is a specific enemy which always surrounds this building. And I'll get to that in a second, because first of all, I'm just going to quickly show off the ability of this charge jump and combine with the jetpack. Because we can actually reach all the way to the top of this building that way. Which is actually, like, you get an achievement for that as well the first time you do it. And it contains an item which I just cannot use because I'm not level 90. But it's just a really high level item which you can get for free Zeos, which is pretty cool. But the sort of downside with hacking this particular building is there's this particular enemy which sort of surrounds it at all time, which is that dude over there. Which is this shark. This sort of hammerhead robot sharks which shoot rockets, called the TF-147 Shark. And you get an achievement for jumping on top of him. And you can't just shoot him like this. And you can colorize him as well, actually, which actually looks pretty cool. I haven't actually done that before. But he's pretty strong. And his rockets, well, I'm just going to get hit by one. He's having a hard time hitting me today for some reason. But generally, when he actually manages to hit me with one of his rockets, that happens. You just instantly die. Obviously, I'm not a high enough level to do that either, but he's somewhat of an inconvenience when it comes to hacking that particular building. But yeah, for me personally, the main thing that just really like draws me into this game is the graphic style. Like all the different colored weapons, the sort of rainbow things, all the different cubes and things. It just has this very 90s look to it, and I just really love that about this. The gameplay itself, I quite like it. I am looking forward to like more content where you just sort of have more of an idea of what you're doing, because it is pretty fun to hack these things, and it's pretty fun to like just hack several buildings at once and just kill a whole load of enemies. And you can actually play the game in multiplayer as well. I personally haven't done it because they have the developer and a streamer, which currently the name escapes me, but I'll put it in like the video description so you can sort of see what multiplayer looks like. They have this weekly sort of multiplayer community event going on right now at the time of recording this video. And they just all play multiplayer together, and it looks pretty fun. Everyone's like these little like pill people, which is really the only like way I can really describe what the multiplayer models look like in this game. They just sort of look like pills, but they look kind of cute. And you can just play multiplayer together and basically just experience the game the same way that way. So that's pretty neat the way it does that. And yeah, I'm honestly just curious where it's gonna go. So in that sense, I do recommend the game. I don't know, was there anything else I wanted to show off about this game? Because I'm pretty sure I've shown off the general gist of it. Like, with every building, it also changes, like, which enemies you sort of fight as well. Like, right now, we're just fighting a couple enemies called Ghosts in the Shellfish, which is kind of cute, obviously. Occasionally, you'll fight a building where just all the spawn points are at the top of the building, and they just all crawl down. This might actually be one of those. Yeah, like, there's just a whole bunch of, like, spawn points at the top, and then they all just jump down that way. But these are also enemies which I believe can actually, like, scale the building as well, so I was actually trying to jump on top of the building, but I failed to do so, and these guys actually kind of hurt a bit. Let's try that again. There we go. So, like, as you can see, there's just a whole bunch of enemies, and right now they're just crawling up the building as well, and I'm actually on the wrong building where they're spawning. This is their spawn points. And yeah, it's just kind of cool. It's actually, like, this is one of the few, like, buildings where you have several different colored enemies, which don't actually seem to be attacking each other a lot of the time, so that's also kind of interesting how that changes with these specific enemies. But yeah, Black Ice is pretty neat. Also, the soundtrack is sort of incredible. It, like, varies between songs which I don't like that much, between songs that I really, really, really like. And yeah, it's mostly songs I really, really, really like, especially when you're hacking. I'm not 100% sure who made the songs, but there's, like, in the Steam page and probably the Itch.io page as well, it has, like, a link to who made it, I believe. And also just, you can buy the soundtrack as well. And it's all pretty neat. Everything about this game is pretty neat. and I recommend you give it a shot. There is a demo of this game, of an older version of the game, available on itch.io, I believe, which is like version 0.5, which is entirely playable, really. It lacks like a couple of things, I believe. It might not have like the bouncy ball weapon, maybe? I don't remember which weapon it was. It doesn't have, but it might actually be... Where is the thing? Which I'm trying to think. Is it this one? Oh yeah, I still have it equipped. It might be this one. And God, I do love this one. The way it like changes color and everything and bounces all over the place. And the higher level you are, the more points you can put into range, and the more like of these balls you can sort of have flying around all over the place. But yeah, I personally do recommend this game, and I'm very curious to see where this game's gonna go in the future. Because I got the art style, it just does it for me. The art style alone is enough for me to just play this game for a while. I played it for like 4 hours already, which is usually longer than I can tolerate games, which is mostly about loot. And I fully blame Diablo for that, which has basically just... I've played too much Diablo, and now this genre of game is sort of ruined for me. But this game actually is pretty fun, and the way it does things is kind of nice, and I want to see more of it. So y'all should buy it and play it and have a good time. Yeah. And then you should like make videos where you kill that robot shark, because really he's only been capable of killing me, and quite frankly I'm salty and I want to see someone kill that stupid shark. So y'all should do that and have a good day. And I think that's about it, really. I don't know if there's anything else I want to say about the game. I don't actually remember. Oh yeah, there's mod support apparently. I have not looked into this at all, but it's probably alright. It's mod support. Who doesn't love mods? And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's right up. See you guys next time. And do all these things that I told you to do. Bye. Yeah.